Welcome back to Field Service Office Hours. My name is Leigh-Anne Nugent, and I am here joined by a small crew, and we are here to take a look at inventory in Salesforce Field Service. We want to understand how the tool works, and I was presented specifically with this scenario. In fact, the scenario was they have three lines of businesses. And within those line of businesses, they have three different inventory buckets, I guess you can call it. So each line of business has their own inventory that line of business can pull from. They are integrated with an ERP called Epicor. And yeah, the idea is that all of the inventory should be siloed and segregated. So yeah, usually we say use Salesforce because you want everything to be centralized. So it can still be centralized, but with sharing rules and with different inventory locations, you can still silo the data, but intentionally. I say with a face because we're here to let the system show us what it's going to do. So that's the use case that we're going to run with today. And if anybody has any questions, or comments, jump in. And yeah, we're just going to see what the system does for us. While I get my system set up too, I did get my hands on Manufacturing Cloud and did the implementers expert whatever session. So they had a little small segment on inventory, and I thought, ooh, I sure wish that I had some of this stuff in field service. So we didn't get deep into inventory, but I at least have access to an org, and I can go into some of the trailheads to see how that piece of functionality works. So I think where I'd like to evolve this is today's session will just be basics of Salesforce Field Service inventory, and then look into how Manufacturing Cloud plus Field Service could just make inventory way better. Question mark. That is the hypothesis we are working with on this day. All right. So as usual, jump in if you have any comments or questions, just dive right in. Whenever I'm tinkering with one particular functionality, I tend to create an app of just the objects that I am or needing to work with. So for Salesforce Field Service inventory management, all we really need is locations, we need products, we need product items. I threw on inventory transfers. It is a magic record, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then product request line items, and products required. I thought that I would have a tab for products consumed, but I don't know. I thought that was weird. Why I didn't see that. So anyway, we'll take a look at that. Or we could create a tab. But through this conversation, I just wanted to say in my org, I don't have a products consumed tab. So I don't know if we really need it. As we walk through the basics, we'll see. Okay, let's start with, I'm going to close all this up, locations. So locations can be many things. They could be your customer's location, it could be a van, it could be a site, it may not even be an inventory location. It's just a location that might be like your customer's site, but not actually your customer, maybe the ship to, although that's another discussion that we could have all on its own, whether or not we create a bill to account and a ship to account, or just have one account. It's just with different addresses, like we've seen on the account, like the billing and the shipping address. But there are some organizations where their ERP has their own separate bill to and ship to accounts on purpose. So that account model might be different, but some people also just consider ship to just locations. They don't really do anything except know where to go for the job. So I've usually always architected it with accounts and maybe use account record types to indicate the difference if we really needed to, because they might want to have an account hierarchy. But some people have designed with locations, and it's not a bad design model because you could see all of the assets that are on the location. There's some benefits to using locations outside of inventory, but I don't tend to usually do that. Thank you. Varsha saying that products consumed is a child to the work order, which is why it's not available on the tab. I think that's right. And I think it's master, but I thought that maybe it would be master detailed because of that, but it could be a work order line item that it's related to. I'm going to just open that up just because I'm going to squirrel and find out. Where is see, this is the products consumed. I'm just going to create one. I don't know why I still thought I would have had a tab. But anyways, yeah, you could be.
I don't think you can even add a tab for it.
Really? Yeah, it could just
so.
be special. Like work order line items, I don't even think we could.
Yeah, it's a child,
Right?
which is why you cannot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So good. Awesome. You will use that as the rationale behind it. Thank you. Okay. So really, in order to turn a location into an inventory location is just a checkbox. It will not be on the page layout, so you will have to update the location object to make sure you've got the mobile location and inventory location on the page layout. You also will want to add product line items as a related list to the location. And I think the other thing that we've done too was a product request. Yes, we would create a product request. And I think I've done in the past, I thought I also added the transfers as a page, as a related list too. I think I used to do that too. Related list. Yeah. So adding the product transfers, either destination or source, here's all the requests, sources and destination. These are the line items. The transfers are interesting to know because they are special. Every single time you create a request, it turns into a transfer. So let's just actually throw both of these on here for now. Or is it the transaction? Okay.
It
So
is
we'll
actually the
just,
transaction that gets created. So based on a product transfer,
it's the
Salesforce
child.
automatically. Yeah,
It's the child of the product transfer, the transaction.
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Thank you for joining. You know your stuff. Somebody did their homework.
I recently did a project on it, which is why.
Oh my gosh, we are thankful you're here. So when you're doing this, okay, so I would also create a quick action to create a product transfer from this location. In your implementation, did you do something like that? And then another implementation we did, we used data table because we could be transferring more than one item from this location to another location. How did you create your transfers?
In my implementation, we also had product requests. So basically, the technicians they were requesting, and based on that request, somebody from the warehouse team was really provisioning those requests. So it made sense to have all of this information populated in context of the product request, not
Okay.
necessarily at the location. So at the location, I just had the product items because that's what they cared about, but really tied the transfers to the request, just so that we can say against this request, these were the transfers that were done or completed.
Okay. And then from a product request provisioning perspective, there was a person logging in, desktop,
Yeah.
and yes, okay, cool. Anybody else have that kind of implementation that they've done before? We had this other warehouse project too, and we didn't we used the product request only when there was something damaged or something like that, like they ran out of it. But we knew exactly what was required every single day. So I think what we just did was straight up transfers versus requests because we had a report of how many were required for each truck for each day. And then we would just fulfill it every single day. I think that was the way that we did it,
So,
just straight
so
transfers. Yes, go ahead.
in
Mhm.
our scenario, what happened was that there was some information that was pre-known. These are the products we need we knew that based on this work type or the scenario, we knew that
Yeah.
we could predetermine. So we really translated them into products required. We had an automation which really converted those required into requests. But at the time when a technician has reviewed, he says, based on my research, I think I'll need these requests as well. So he would go in, add more line items to the request just to give them that opportunity, right? And then initiate a product transfer once he says that, okay, I'm good.
I like that. Very cool. In your implementation that you had, did you have a scenario where, so the scenario that we are being presented with today is that we've got three different lines of businesses and the technicians from that line of business should only pull from the warehouse associated to that line of business. Did you have anything like that?
In our case, no, because we were really delivering everything at the customer's location. No, this specific scenario was not something that we touched.
From a design perspective for this scenario, I was just thinking that the location should just be if it's a warehouse, right? Oakland Repair Center, for example. Oh, maybe that's not the right one. Let's just look at Ohana West. I'm just thinking everything that's on Ohana West versus Ohana East, those could just be different warehouses or inventory locations or for each line of business. And I was just thinking we would just be able to share that location with the technician and then everything related to it, all the product line items. If you've got access to the location, then you should have access to those product items. But if you don't have access to the location, then you don't have access to the product items. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about using just regular sharing rules to control that.
There is also this concept of customer locations versus, so basically really tying it to the multiple inventory scenario. Although I did see a bottleneck around it in the mobile app, something I wanted to research on when I got the time, but I could see that yes, you can show them multiple locations they can choose from. For example, a technician saying, I want to consume something from my inventory versus what is really delivered at the customer location. But I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that, yeah, and probably it was because of sharing, because we had an open sharing model, really
Mm-hmm.
could see all the customer locations and not just
Mm-hmm.
specific one.
So that would be something to consider, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a scenario where we've got customer locations as well, then we're going to have to be mindful of the sharing rules. Like maybe if it's a customer location, there's a sharing rule around keeping that open to everybody. But the ones that are marked as inventory, I don't
Yeah.
know, we have a different, we've got we've got jets happening, Canada Day jets. Who are those? They're like the blue. Oh, what? You guys know those fighter jets that come out on holidays? Sorry, I'm getting spoiled.
Snowbirds.
Snowbirds. That's the one. Thank you. I got snowbirded. I don't know. You probably couldn't hear it, but it was super, super loud. Yeah. So I'm thinking about making your location. I'd have to save this private. I would Oh, I should have even checked the product items. I would probably even make the product items public still. I don't know if I even can change that.
In our case, the challenge, Leanne, was that this is something that we wanted to make sure that the technicians had, and our technicians really went across the United States. So
Yeah.
we didn't have a choice to really restrict the sharing model, because today they might be working in one area versus tomorrow somewhere else. But yes, if you
Yeah.
have that luxury, definitely sharing should help us avoid that scenario.
Yeah. And we had that, like, in most of our use cases, it's the same thing, right? It's just keep it open because everybody should have
Yeah.
access to everything. Yeah, we've normally seen that, but this was the use case that came to me while I was at World Tour last week. So I thought, oh, this is a pretty cool idea. Why don't we let the system tell us what it can do? So it did say that the product items were still private, which is interesting. I don't know how that's gonna play out, but they were still recalculating. So let's go look at these location sharing rules. And I wanted to remember too, okay, it is rules. Because I was thinking either use a public group or roles for the business units. The way that I used to run it, I'd use roles. So each business unit would be siblings. So everything in that hierarchy is just already cut off, and I'm just relying on roles for the initial sharing rules. But then we'd get into, okay, the location owner would have to be owned by that a role owner person, right? The inventory manager for Ohana East and all of those, that role hierarchy down below it.
Yeah.
Just right. You would agree with that, Bruce? Yeah, go ahead.
When you're picking up what does the platform offer, there's a weird object. It's called a service territory location. And
Yeah.
I'd never really given that much thought, but I think so.
Mhm.
You're trying to go a little restrictive, right? You're trying to say,
Yeah.
I'm an East Ohana person, let me consume from here, and maybe
Mhm.
some others that you control, not just broad. And I did a little bit of research on it. I think it might be like, hey, if you've got a user territory record, you can see that location. Don't know what it does for the technician to say, I can consume from these because I have a membership here. But there is that object, service territory location.
That's true. Okay, so what I know of service territory location is that when you're out in the field and you've enabled multi source territory or something like that, multi source location, you can. So let's go look at, no, seriously? Okay, that was a weird glitch. All territories. So we'll just put San Francisco. It might not be on the page layout. It's not. So let's change that. And I think that there's some fancy magic. It's because of the user territories. If you have a user territory, there's a sharing rule that runs to grant you access to all of the locations that are related to the territory. Is that part of the magic? Do you know for sure?
What I assume. I put a link in the chat here about that
Thank you
object
for the,
from
yeah,
the
perfect.
developer, but it does not tell you much.
About user territories or the sharing rules, right?
Or it's just, hi, this object, here's the fields. It doesn't really tell you the purpose of that junction.
Yeah,
I suppose if we went to user territories, we might find that what it shares, but
that might be nice. We'll see. We'll check that out. So this is the service territory locations. We'll throw that on there. Oh, hello. Put that there. And then I'll add the user territory since that might be, what's weightless? That's interesting. Right, no. Anything else? Service resources. I don't think we need anything else here. Save. Yes. There was something that we had to do if we were going to allow technicians to be able to see their van stock and the service territory location stock. We had to put something in the mobile app, like in the connected app settings, to say
Yeah, that's
multi,
I think
right?
part of the article that Bruce shared shows the first link that he shared in the chat.
Oh, there's a first link. Thank you. I was looking for that. Thank you. You're the best. Beautiful. Enable. Yes, this one. Enable multiple locations. We have to put this on. So let's first do a couple of things. Am I logged into my app? Let's just see. Because I want to see what life is like. Oh, hold on. Huge. Okay. Sorry. When I pick up my phone, I get squirreled with whatever's on there. Okay, it's a field service. And let's see what I have in my inventory. I don't have anything. Seriously? Wait, who am I? Oh, apply now. Sweet. I think I'm Gloria Barnes in here. Locations. Oh, she doesn't even have a location. For real? Okay. Okay. Gloria Barnes. What inventory location do you have? Nothing. It's not even on your page layout. Great. I have to update this object too.
Yeah. So I mean, like to vamp while you're getting that stuff in, the
Yeah.
other things to think about with these vans is, right, they're an asset of the company.
Mhm.
And do you want to maintain them or get the oil changed every once in a while? You do start object hopping, right? This is the
Mhm.
resource. We assume the things that go with them go in their specific van. That might not be true. It might be my toolkit, right? It might be a bundle or a bin that I put in and out of different vans every night. So if they're just going to a depot and swapping each day, I take truck number 12 today and truck number 15 tomorrow. We don't really know what Bruce's inventory is, or it might be roulette, right? You got to prepare that van for that day for that person. And oh, I ended the day with 10 of these left, but that's a different van. And someone would have to be on top of the data that way, right? If I'm driving a different van each day, if I have my kit that I take from van to van, that's less of a problem. Bruce's kit goes with him. But then treating that van itself as something you might want to maintain on a regular basis, you link it up to another object. Or if it's a serious enough piece of equipment, you might want to schedule it to be with me. Maybe it houses my inventory, but it gets stationed at a job site and it's busy there and can't go elsewhere. If some huge job box gets shipped out and stationed somewhere, here's the shed that we deployed at this construction site for Bruce and others to consume from.
Let's just see. Okay. I have no idea what my products are in this org. So that's one other thing I will caution too, is that the products all need to be added. And we've had some fun creating products. Like sometimes you're lucky and you only have 11 of them. But other times you've got a whole bunch with all of the nooks and the nuts and bolts and things like that. Is there a magic number that you all have had? Have you had an obnoxious number of products that you've had to manage?
In my case, we had a lot. And for us, the tricky thing was that we had a lot of them which were serialized too. So it was fun handling
Oh,
those transfers.
What do you think happened to that? Oh, it's under the location. That's why. The location. Great. I don't even have the related list for the request on the location. Lots of things to update on the page layout when you implement this. So requests, product request, destination. What are these? The line items. I'm going to put both of them on the page layout just so that we can see which one looks better.
Varsha, do you mind me asking, in your solution on the warehouse side, was there integration like to an ERP, or was everything about inventory maintained in Salesforce, like on the location record, this many of this item is here?
So, Bruce, it was in our long term plan. At the time we were doing the implementation, there was a human really playing the role of the integration. But that was part of their long term vision to make sure that their ERP, which was really their source of truth, and really maintain the products, inventory items across the location.
That's actually one of the questions that I would always be asked too when I was at Salesforce was, when do we let the ERP come into Salesforce? And then when do we tell the ERP, if it's the end of the day, what the truck amount was? And do we have it go back and forth? How often? What's the frequency? So it is an interesting thing to think about. Once you have it in the warehouse, should it always be in sync? Once it's been transferred from the warehouse to the van, like in one case, as soon as it was transferred to the van, it was as though it was the ERP didn't care anymore, which is a nice thing. But some things in the trucks are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, some parts. So they might want to know.
Yeah. And some things ERPs can do, this system maybe can't do. When you've got one or many of a product item, Salesforce doesn't care how much you bought those for. There's no sense of lot. And there is a system, Legendary, which is great, which is built within Salesforce, but we have that sort of firewall you're talking about. Like you can have it even within Salesforce. Legendary knows there are 100 of these in the warehouse, and 75 of them we bought for $1,000 each, and 25 we bought for $800 each. And now these are getting consumed off of your van when we transfer them out. They've got all that intelligence to us on the van, right? It's one of that product item, unless it's serialized.
Right.
And the whole refurbishment part of the process is another layer which adds complexity around this as well.
Yeah. So Manufacturing Cloud has a refurbishment component to it. Hold on. Did I take a screenshot of that? I took so many screenshots. And it's just a matter of what did I? Okay, here. So I'm going to send another squirrel moment. Was it in here? Yeah, they've got inventory locations, service. There was a rebate or refurbishment thing that I thought that was part of this. But maybe it was over here, part of repairs. But I think that's something that we should explore, because if that exists already, in Manufacturing Cloud, we should at least have an idea of what that is. Just going to look one more screenshot here.
Right. There's certainly that refurbishment tangle, but there's even the basic move of we're implementing a product item as an asset that isn't like
Right.
there's no one way to do that handed to you. And that is certainly an operation you need to do, especially around replacement.
Yeah, exactly. Warranty claims. No. But that we'll dig in specifically on that, I feel like, next time that they've got so many more things in here. Okay, all of that to say, I needed to create some line items. Good Lord. Okay. I thought I had like battery. Okay, good. Cool. So I'm going to just say, I want to fill up my van. Each is the van, save a new 50 each. Say for one implementation that Bruce and I did, he built a really cool tool that leveraged data table that would give you the ability to search, not necessarily, I guess it was a search, but view all of the products by type, like list them all, and then you would just indicate the number of quantity that you needed to transfer over. Bruce, did you created transfers in that flow, not requests, correct?
Yeah. We're talking about our municipal
Yes.
project. Okay. Yeah. There were no requests involved there at all. And because
Right.
daily they had to, and if we think back also, this work order, products required, that's like a misnomer. It's you might need these things to do this job, right? You might go to try and fix a washer. You might not need that cable. You might not need that belt or whatever. They're nice to have to do that work generally. This was fulfillment. These were people's orders. So we knew to fill your order fully, we needed one of each of the things that you bought, right? So if you bought 2 red ones and 3 blue ones, or whatever size, we needed to get those on the truck to go out and do the delivery. So yes, we made transfers that said at the beginning of the day or the night before, let's get these onto the truck in the total quantity of that next day's dispatch service appointments needed for that resource whose truck it was. So they all kind of went in large quantities. Out of these products we have, you need 400 of these, 200 of these, whatever it is. They all go in the truck tonight. And in the morning, they go open the app and say, Leigh-Anne's house, she needs 2 of these and 1 of those. And off on their milk runs they would go. So it was all transfers, no requests, because depending on when you did dispatch or anything, it wasn't Leigh-Anne needs them to do this job. She's about to do it. Whoever's route they ended up on, the ones to satisfy your order needed to go with whoever's going to go to your house.
Right. Now,
Bruce,
go ahead.
Bruce, in your case, were the technicians really indicating which products they would need through the mobile app?
Oh, no, not at all. Again, it was an integration with commerce. It was a commerce website. The customer ordered what they needed. And we had with high scale order management flow that would take the creation of the order summary and its lines and create products required in the work order out of that. So we knew at the point that you, the customer, ordered them, you would need them. And depending when your appointment got scheduled that day, whenever we wrapped up the day and said, these are dispatched now. So if Leigh-Anne's truck is going to bring your products to you and your neighbor, we know based on how many you bought and how many your neighbor bought, that's what needs to go on Leigh-Anne's truck. If we're running out of some things, that's a whole other nightmare. And maybe we didn't route your jobs those days. So we built a lot of stuff in so they could optimize by what products they had on hand. But no, the technician doesn't know, I'd really like 2 of this product and 3 of that product for this job I'm going to. We pushed it all down after the route was built.
Thank you.
Sure.
for this other customer that you're building this legendary for, is there like a technician request component for that? Yeah.
Yes, and Legendary has their own big, rich data model, and they have a requisition. And that you would imagine is taking the place of the product request. The requisition has line items, which again take the place of the product request line item. So they request it. And what the logistics people do is they try and source it internally. Do we have this in this warehouse or that one? Should we move it around for you? Or should we obtain it? And that's where maybe the Salesforce object model stops. How do we get the thing in the first place? So they work with their vendors. They say, oh, you have this available and it's this much. Let's do a PO and you fulfill it. So if they know they need to purchase something for you, that goes through one process. It really ends up as a product transfer inbound for you because you requested the thing. It's going to go to your van. If they were just moving it around from an existing internal location, that again ends up as a transfer inbound to you. You don't care where it came from, but it's two different streams. We purchased to fulfill this requested item, and we moved to fulfill that requested item. So yeah, a whole lot of behind the scenes jazz.
Yikes. Okay, so I don't have any inventory in here. I don't see product requests because I guess I don't own them or I didn't create them. But if I go to all product requests, I see this one here. I'd want to play with the layout so that we could see exactly what on earth it is, like 50 of what. And then when I click on it, I still see nothing. And then I guess the action here is, oh, I still have Agent Force. That's nice. I still don't have any actions to accept but I'm not doing this. It's this person, right? So if I have a product request, the idea is that they would want to fulfill it. So did you create an automation here, Varsha, from a product request? When it was approved, then it would automatically create a transfer?
I did. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, so we have to do this manually because I don't have said automation.
Yeah.
So now, yeah. Where is it? What was it again? Battery. So these are the earlier we worked. Maybe I have this battery item, but see, this is where it's why we have to do it with automation, because doing this like I guess automatically or manually, you can't, because I'm trying to search product item. Oh, that worked. Huh. Did you know that you can search product items based off of the product name?
Yeah. It depends
That's
on
friendly.
how we have the search criteria like enabled, right, on the product item level.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, they've only got 18 and I requested 50, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. So let's see what happens. Destination location, received. I'm going to say 50 and I'm going to see what happens. Received by person, Gloria. Ah, quantity can't be negative. Look at that. It knows. I'm going to just say 18 because that's what I know. So save. And then we'll do a new one. I'm going to just clone this and use the other battery. I don't know how many it is, so let's look at battery low. Whoops. Battery low capacity. Oh, there's 29. Okay, I'm going to take all of them. Thank you very much. And then save. Why? Oh, because you forgot to type it in here. Okay. All right. So now that I have this transfer, okay, so I automatically received it. Oh yeah, we could totally go down another rabbit hole on receiving serialized products. Gosh, was that fun or what, Barsha?
Yeah, which is why our narrative was that we had to go MVP, and I couldn't see that in any sane world the users would be able to figure it out, especially with the product product transfer transaction for serialized product. So it does make sense to automate this bit, because what's happening is in the background with the transactions, Salesforce expects the updates to these fields to happen in a certain sequence also. Like the
Mm-hmm.
receipt flag, you could check Leigh-Anne right now because this was a unserialized product, but had it been serialized, it would force you to do this whole transfer in 2 steps, which would be fun for the end user, and it's not very easy to understand what's going on. So yes, we did end up putting an automation in the back end, adding some instructions. So if say for example the quantities were not identified, or there were missing quantities, give messages to the user so that it was easy to understand to see what was wrong with the transfer.
Mm-hmm. So now my thing is cancel this. I cannot see. This is my van. Okay. Okay. I have product items here. I couldn't see it right away. And I was like, maybe it's because the transactions didn't happen, but I am seeing I have them now. So because it's private, I'm going to have to figure out a way to make it visible, right? Like I can't see it on here. Search inventory. So is it because it's a private model? And so we have to do all kinds of really crazy sharing rules here?
So
I don't know.
it
Yeah.
often is her service resource shared to her, first of all, like it probably should be.
Yeah.
Is the location, I know that's brand new, but is that shared to her?
I could have sworn I made Gloria the owner, which made me think that she could see it. Question mark?
Okay, you think.
I think. So that's the first thing.
And
Mm,
then there's all
yeah.
mobile tricks, right? Did you
Uh-huh.
clear cache metadata, stand on your head?
No, of course not. Gotta do that next. Sharing. Okay, let's do this first. Shared with one group of users. It's just me. Okay. We'll do this all manually. Okay. I think that's all it is. It's just sharing. Gotta do all this sharing.
And you did leave that as read only. I don't know that it matters if you just
I
want to
don't
see
know if
them
that's
for
gonna
mobile, but
matter. But yeah, we're gonna see, because what happens when I consume them? Is it gonna be a problem when I okay. All right, we've got happy joy records here. I'm going to start putting a bow around this because I'm going to have to start walking over to the stadium. Okay, so where are we at? So private sharing models with inventory requires sharing rules for sure. So we definitely have to set that up. Is it possible to share a location with certain people? Yes. Because I only have my stock, van stock in here, I'm not going to see what's in that warehouse that I would be able to transfer from. Is that so? That would be one of the requirements that I would ask the customer is, do we want the technicians to see it so that they could pick up stuff and do transfers themselves from that warehouse? Or is it more of a back office thing, desktop thing? Because then maybe we don't need multiple locations on the mobile. We just need multiple locations from the end user. And we just use regular sharing rules for desktop experience. So the desktop experience for inventory, visibility, transfers, requests, things like that. Transfer requests, it doesn't matter because what I explained to the customer was like a mouse is a mouse. And we would say that this mouse, there's 100 in Ohana East and 150 in Ohana West. It's the same product. It's just the volume and the amount of them for that line of business would be for that warehouse's line of business. Like only they can see that number for that product. So everybody's sharing a single product, everybody across all of the product lines. Then it's just a matter of the quantity of items would be separated in their own individual warehouses. That's the first thing I would do. And then I would look at their roles and hierarchies and then sharing rules and think about what the transfers would be and what all of that would look like. But they might not need to see the service territory on the mobile app. Where I think we'll go next, we can continue to play with inventory. We just basically went through the very rough basics of what the object models are and what are the baseline configuration looks like. And then we can go another level deeper with maybe the enable multiple territories and then start peeking behind the scenes of manufacturing cloud to say, I want to have one of those flows to search and transfer and go through that last mile piece. That's the piece that I want to know too. What if we put in a request, but we got to wait for a part to get shipped because I'm in the East and the part is only available in the West? Like, I would want to know the shipping and the whole transfer pipeline of that product. But I don't know. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Closing remarks?
I think if there's one more thorn in there, it's partial receipt.
Which I just had, right? So in my transfer, I requested 50, but I couldn't get all of them.
Yes.
So what happened to the rest of it? What happened to
Yeah.
the rest of my, good call. Good call.
What do you spawn up out of the, so that, because if you don't receive them, they don't get added to your inventory, so you can't consume them. Maybe you wanted all 50, but you could use 18 today. If you don't say received, you can't use them. So how do we all tell the world 36 more, please? Do you make a second request out of the Delta? Is someone already working on that? Yeah, that's the dark side of the moon.
A little bit, yeah. Thank you all for hopping on and joining me today.
You might have already answered, but I had to duck away for a second. It has to do with when you were showing the mobile device with a technician looking at my requests and all requests. Under what situation would a technician care about all requests, or is that like a field manager that wants to see the bigger picture?
That's a good question. I think that would be more of a business question. I think from my perspective, I didn't have sharing rules set up very well. So that's why all requests came up. But I think that really you just want to see your own.
But that's why you needed to go to them, was because of the sharing. But I think it's an accident of every object you make in Salesforce gets list views. And if all is shared to all people, you can get it. Beyond the sharing rules stuff that Leigh-Anne is getting is you have to own managing list views too. If you don't want the text to see all, you've got to say all is scoped to these people who aren't techs. So you might have to get into a public group of back office people or people who aren't techs. And for every single object, you don't want someone crawling the mobile app to the all list view. You've got to remember and own that and scope those all list views to back office only people and scope the my type of things to the text only.
I don't know if I'm hoping this matches this and I can change this. So I have not checked to see if that is true.
Yep. And I can see a situation where, so you said you don't want your mobile users to have a view to all, ever, never, ever, period, ever, ... unless you do. I could see a situation where there's a manager in the field, so working from mobile, and he just wants to see what's going on with the stuff that all my guys have asked for.
Oh, yes. So it works. But as a field manager, you probably would. But I love that it is, thank God, it is tied to sharing. So you could share this with a group of users who are in a particular public group or a role. So that scenario sounds viable to me. Yeah. And the newest latest version of the app is available. So download and update your apps if you're unlike me, or you're like me who doesn't update their app on a regular basis. Was I just pointing my screen and I wasn't sharing anything? That's exactly what happened. So I just took this sharing rule off. Hold on. I totally just shared my screen and didn't. Okay, so I see all. And then I just changed sharing settings. Only I can see this view, save. And I didn't even have to clear my browser cache or anything. It just updated. So now I can, oops, change my sharing rules. And then all people can see. So yeah, so what Bruce was saying, we would just have to decide what you need to see and what the use case is. And yeah, now I'm really late for the game. So I better get going. All right. See you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, Leigh-Anne.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Yes.